What was this 93, 94?
94. Oh for four.
194.
Wow. Damn, that was kind of loud. Scared me a little bit.
Well, it's been some time since me and my old pal Eric here have chopped it up. He thinks I don't like him anymore because I've been neglecting my duties.
Back
on,
to how this relationship started. Me not thinking you like me.
Yeah, see, he's always with the thinking. Always with the bad thinking. He never sees the good in people. Just, oh, no, he must not like me.
I've seen the good in you for years.
Yeah, true.
For years.
But
defended your name when people have sullied it.
I hope not.
And that's a
That
fucking
many.
fact. Not that many people, but I have definitely defended your name.
Oh,
Like,
well.
hey, don't talk that shit. I'll fucking beat your ass.
Appreciate you.
And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it didn't go like that, but I did fucking. Kim stood up to the plate. And then dingers.
Hitting dingers.
People were trying to throw shade at you. And
Going yard.
take that fucking bullshit elsewhere.
I appreciate you. I've done the same. I'm like,
what
no
I'm
one
here for."
picks on Eric but me. Don't you talk shit about my friend. Only I can do that.
Shit.
I do think that's funny as fuck, though, when it comes to, like, friendships.
Siblings, too. Fucking
siblings, of
family,
course, yeah,
all that
like-
shit.
Family or... I mean, I feel like our friends group, it's close-knit enough to where it's like we're all family at
Yeah,
this point.
Y'all are my brothers.
So it's basically this one and the same. Like, I have no problem talking shit to you 24/7, 7 days a week. Anyone else did, though, I'd be like, hey, what the fuck you just say? Just because it's one of those things, you know, like you protect yours. You're like, hey, I can fuck with them. You cannot.
Pretty much.
But yeah,
I do the
that's
same thing. I talk shit to you daily.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, this is true. This is true. Just
Calling
our
you
text
names.
alone. I'm just texting Eric about what time I'm gonna come over, record a podcast. He's like,
Call him
he's
a
like,
punk,
yeah,
Call
sure.
him a
Yeah.
turd.
Yeah.
Call him a sack.
I was like, well, back to back to back. Didn't get one real answer. He's like, if you say so, punk. I'm like, damn.
Shit.
What'd I do to you?
I think punk is so funny. If
Yeah,
anybody would
it
ever
is.
call me a punk,
Like in real life?
I would laugh.
I
I'd
say,
be like,
I'd be like,
shit.
oh, I'd be like, oh, that
It's
really
like,
got
all right,
me.
fucking grandpa.
I'd be like, you got me right where it hurts.
Punk is fucking some old people calling some young people shit.
Yeah, that is a funny term to call somebody. You punk ass bitch. Now
That's different.
That's a little
That's
different.
If someone called me a punk ass bitch, they're like, whoa, what the fuck?
But just punk, I'd be like, hey.
Shit.
Anyways, why I haven't seen you in a while is because you took a little vacation.
I did.
Well, in a sense. I mean, it's kind of
It was a
work
bit-
for you, but
I
at the
mean,
same
no, I
time.
had fun. I saw it as a vacation. I mean, I was gone for a week, so
Tell the people about your trip. What'd you do? Where'd you go?
I fucking took a
What'd
road
you see?
trip, and it's pretty much just seeing family.
How'd
Went
you
up to
feel getting
Philly.
on the road?
I mean, on the way up, it wasn't bad because I broke it down into like 3 parts, I guess. So I left like not last Sunday, but the Sunday before. So
Yeah,
2
for
weeks
people
ago
who
now.
are viewing this that don't know where we are, we're located in Orlando, so Central Florida.
Yeah, so my final destination was Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My cousin lives there, and we do our little. This is the second year that we've done our cousin trip. Me and my sisters, and then my cousins on my mom's side. We meet up and have a little.
Where was the first one at?
I was in Tennessee.
Oh yeah,
It was
that's
a
right. That
Tennessee
cabin,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so originally I was gonna fly up there. Then I froze a price for a ticket on Hopper, and then when I went to go buy the ticket, the plane was full, and the ticket prices kept on going up. So I'm like, all right, well, it's probably just gonna cost me the same to drive up there anyways, and I can make some stops, see some people, do that shit. So
Because your guys' trip, is it usually what, a day, a weekend?
what last year was like 4 days, I think. Maybe was it 5 days a week? I don't know. It was something like that. But yeah, this time I got there a little early, but it was pretty much it was just a weekend. But
That's cool. Get to spend time with the family,
yeah,
especially if you guys are planning this like outside of like the whole family.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
a
yeah.
select
well,
few.
I mean, we have to at this point.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
adults want to act like children, but that's
well, not
fair.
just that, but it's also, I feel like we're all the age where, because it's the same in my own family as well. The cousins are the ones who plan like our family outings now.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like, I don't know, shifted onto us now. That's like,
Yeah,
if we're gonna all
now.
do something as a family, y'all set it up. So
because we're old.
Yeah.
We're getting to that age.
we're getting old. We're getting up there.
But yeah, so I left from here to St. Augustine Sunday night. Hung out with my dad because he lives in St. Augustine. And then from St. Augustine on Monday, I left to go to South Carolina to visit our good old friend Dennis because that's where he's staying now. For people who have been listening to the podcast, you know who that is.
Yeah.
For people who haven't been, it doesn't matter if you know who he is or not. So there you go. He's a good friend of ours.
Yes. Started the podcast with us. Was the producer for a long time.
Indeed.
Helped us out in many ways.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So I stayed there with him for the night, which actually put me up in a hotel. So that was nice. Then from South Carolina, Tuesday, I drove all the way up to New Jersey. Stayed with my uncle from Tuesday night to Thursday night. Then from Jersey, it's a short little hour drive to Philly. So I was there Thursday night to Monday morning.
So you technically passed where you needed to go by an hour?
Yeah, but that hour drive felt like it was a 10-minute drive. Because I drove, so from here to St. Augustine is about an hour and a half. From St. Augustine to South Carolina is 4 hours. From South Carolina to where my uncle is in Jersey, it was 11 hours. And then from Jersey to Philly, it was an hour.
Yeah.
And like some change.
Yeah, so you're like,
So
fuck
that
that
shit-
little hour.
Yeah, that
I just
shit
drove
felt
11
like,
hours.
Yeah, that shit felt like a fucking, just quick 5 minutes.
Like a fart in the wind.
Honestly. And then, and then on Monday I drove back down straight all the way fucking through. So I don't regret it, but goddamn, that shit, I'm getting old and it took a toll on my body.
You had to rest, recover for a couple
It took me a
days.
fucking week to really feel back to normal. Like the past couple of days where I've started feeling, you know how when we got off the cruise, how it was kind of like, you kind of get sea legs or whatever. That's what I had, but whatever the equivalent is to
road trip legs.
Yeah, I guess whatever the fuck. But I was like, holy shit, felt kind of shitty. Not Monday, but Wednesday, I felt very fucking lethargic and very
damn near
fucking
jet lag, but it's you know
Yeah.
because you were just in a car for so long.
for fucking 15 hours. Yeah.
You know, especially driving straight. That's
Well, because like I
as
made
someone who's done it as well.
yeah,
It sucks.
when I made my first stop, because I left Philly at like 7 in the morning. So like when I made my first stop for gas and food and all that shit, it was like one-ish. So I'm like, fuck, well, I'm making pretty fucking good time. Like, why stop now? And so I didn't. The only times I stopped was for gas 2 more times.
What time did you? So you left at 7 in the morning. What time did you get back?
I got to my house at like 11. I got back in Orlando around like 11ish, but then I stopped and got food because I was hungry.
Makes sense.
And then I got to my actual house around like 11:30ish. But yeah.
Not bad, mate. It was a full day, but I mean,
Yeah, next time I'm just gonna fucking fly. I'll just
Yeah.
fucking pay it. Because I didn't think it was gonna be that much of a fucking toll on my body like it was. I was fucking feeling all loopy and shit. Like, fucking.
yeah, because I mean, because it's not just like being a passenger in a car for that long versus driving for that long. Because you got to be alert. You got to watch the road.
Yeah.
Can't run red lights off of 408. You know.
Well, yeah, that shit.
This guy.
Oh shit, we made it though, hey.
Barely. Trust you to drive a little segment. I was like, I'm just looking at it. I'm just like, you're not gonna slow. All right.
But you've never like been driving and like you're looking at the stoplight, but you're looking at the stoplight the next one ahead. Yeah, and I'm just I was looking at that one and it was green, and I just.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I've never done it because
in the future.
I've definitely done it to where I blatantly actually did that not too long ago. I was like, oh, yep, that was a red light. Like I saw it turn, and it was like it turned, and I had like a good. It wasn't like a long period of time, but I definitely had enough time to stop. But I was already too far committed, and I like looked up, and it was right. I was like, oh shit. Like it was probably a split second before a green light
like
for
3
somebody
months
else.
ago, I saw somebody get fucking T-boned. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, going like 45.
Yeah,
That
it
shit
could have
was
been like
fucking
that if it
vicious.
was like an extra I'd say 3 to 5 seconds where it was like a green light and cars started going. Yeah, I'd have been fucked. But it was like it had just turned red, and I was already like in like the solid line part.
Yeah.
So that's like what 20 feet before that stop.
Yeah.
I was in that part already, and I just looked up and I was like, oh my, and I'm just
Already
right
committed. Would have been fucking the wear and tear on the brakes.
Yeah. I
Or
would have
wear and tear
had to
on your
slam.
life.
Yeah, could have been.
Oh, you got through it, so it's all good.
Yeah. I survived.
Shit. But yeah, I'm actually going back up there in October for a concert. I'm going with my cousin to go see Kate Renata, so that's gonna be fun.
One of your favorite artists? Well, DJs, artists, whatever you'd say.
No, he is one of my faves. That's gonna be pretty fucking litty titty. And then we're driving back down because I guess my aunt's going up there too for whatever reason, and they're driving back down that Saturday because the concert's on a Wednesday. I'll get there that Wednesday. And then my cousin's like, well, my mom's coming up there that weekend, and we're driving back down to Orlando. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just drive back down with you guys then.
Yeah, just get a one-way ticket.
Yep. And that's only going to be like $50, so that's nice.
If you buy it now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've already started looking. So.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you buy it early, you
it's
should
telling
be
me
fine.
that I have until about like the end of August, and then prices are going to start going up for it. So
Possibly.
well, because I'm tracking it on Hopper, so that's that's the range it's giving. But I plan on buying it within the next couple weeks. So
There you go.
so yeah, that was had a Philly cheesesteak. That was good.
In Philly?
In Philly, went out with my cousins and my sisters. That was the first time. So that was fun.
How was that experience for you?
It was good. One of my cousin's friends went with us, so that was funny.
What, seeing like them having to view your family or act?
No, just they probably won't watch this. I mean, she was pretty much like coming on to me, shit like that,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm just like, which they kind of saw a little bit, but I pretty much had to tell her like, listen, like, not in front of my family, like,
Back the fuck
like
off,
I might be telling myself a little bit, but I enjoy women, so, and they enjoy me too. Just fucking put that out there.
Like, put that
But
out
like,
in the
I
ether.
try to keep that part of my life away from my family. Like, I've never been one to like, I'm not bringing random girls home all the time or shit like that. Like, I don't really.
Correct, yeah,
I've only
especially-
brought like women that I'm like seriously dating to meet my family. Like, and it like.
Which you should. I mean, it's not just a place where you could just bring anybody.
Yeah, but I know people that fucking don't give a fuck and will just bring
True.
fucking random hoes that they're just fucking getting some cheeks from and like kick them out. I'm like, oh my god, like, yeah. I mean, also
everybody's
like,
different.
like if it was like if I had two brothers instead of two sisters, it would definitely be different. But like they're both my sisters. My cousins are both women, so like, I just was very respectful in that sense to them. That it's like I'm not gonna just bring random things
I don't
over
know
and
if
shit
this
like
is how
that.
you act as well, but like when I'm out with my family, and I mean, people on the podcast know, me and Eric know, we're surrounded by women all the time. It's like we both have two sisters. All my cousins are women. Besides, I have two male cousins, and
Yeah, no, on my mom's side, I'm the only boy.
neither
so,
one. I mean, I don't see them that often.
Yeah.
And so, like when the rare times we do go out as a family, I'm always on like alert, basically, because I'm like, I'm the only guy in this situation.
Yeah.
I got all you freaking females to
Yeah.
watch over, and
Well, that was
they're
the
always
first.
like looking at me like, oh, why aren't
Yeah.
you having fun? I'm like, because if you get fucked up, then I'm gonna have to take care of you and still watch all of them. And it's
Yeah.
just
Well, I mean, like I said, this is the first time that we all gone out. Both of them, like my youngest sister and then the youngest cousin, they're both what my youngest sister is going to be 25 at the end of this year. And then my youngest cousin just graduated from FSU. So she's what, like 22, 23. So they go out. My Anna, the older cousin, she's what, like 26, 27. So like, no, she's got to be 28 now. 27, 28, something like that. But they've gone out. Like we're all older. Like if it was different if this was like 5 years ago.
correct.
Obviously, like some people wouldn't have been able to go out, but like if we were a little bit younger, my sister's older. Like I'm past that phase of going out. Obviously, my older sister is like my cousins and my sisters still like to go out a little bit, but even then, like It's
They do
not
it
like
moderately. They're not like just out.
Yeah, they're not in the streets like that. So, it was my older sister definitely was like she started getting anxiety about it and shit and was like overthinking it. I'm like, it's not that deep.
No.
Like we're just going out with our family, gonna go dancing. Like we went to a fucking Spanish club. It was lit. Like it was fun, And I will say, like, I guess since we were in a bigger city, I figured it was gonna be a little bit more like ratchet, I guess. But Orlando was much more ratchet. Downtown Orlando is much more ratchet than the place that we went to, and like I feel like dudes are a lot more grabby in Orlando than they were at the club that we went to in Philly, at least. So like I think that was part of the reason that my older sister was kind of freaking out too. But it's like, one, like I'm there, like just
no one's gonna
stand next to me and you'll be all right. Like they're not really gonna. And plus, like, Julia, she don't really fuck around either. Like she's punched people in the face before, like because they've touched her and shit like that. Yeah, Julia don't fuck around. So like we're good. We're all right. And then, yeah, so we did that Saturday. We walked around the city, Friday and Saturday. No, but it was fun. I had a good time. It was a nice little getaway, nice little recharger. Came
Plus,
back.
anytime you spend with family, it's like always.
Yeah.
I mean, I low key, and this is just me, no offense to my family. I feel like I need a vacation from my family sometimes after. But it is that fun, getting. It's fun to be around your family. It's just
For
like
sure. Especially when it's your cousins and shit, your
Yeah.
sisters. We all grew up together, so like they're. I mean, my cousins they're my sisters anyway. Like they grew up right across the street from me, pretty much my whole life. So like, it's not. I mean, we're all, it's all family. So it was fun. We got a little drunk. We was dancing. I was fucking sweating my ass off though, per usual, because that shit was fucking hot as fuck in that fucking club.
Usually they are.
Oh my god, I was fucking almost like within 20 minutes. I had a button up. I had to take that shit off. I had a fucking wife beater on underneath, but like I was like, holy shit, like I'm sweating profusely right now. That shit was
like anyone have a moist towelette? Fucking
hell no, I needed that shit dry because by the time I was gonna be done with that shit, it was gonna be fucking drenched.
Ring it out.
My little cousin, she's funny as fuck. She was drunk, fucking vibing. I was looking over and she was just dancing, like eyes closed, just vibing. I'm like, damn, I'm trying to be on that type of time right now. Fucking vibing hard as fuck. Shout out to Ali, you're a real one. But no, it was a good time. It was a good time. I will say this: the one thing that does kind of like is funny to me is like my sisters, because there's such an age gap between them that there's always some type of anxiety, like, oh my gosh, like someone's gonna get mad at somebody or something like that, and then nothing ever happens. Like everyone's always fine. So it's like I think you guys just get in your head a little bit too much about shit. But
how far are they apart?
10 years.
10 years.
I'm pretty much right in the middle of them. I'm 4 years younger than Rachel and 5 years older than Julia. So I bridge that gap pretty well. But I just think it's funny. Yeah. Just like I've told it, you know what I mean? Because like, they have their dynamic growing up was more of like a mother-daughter dynamic than it was like a sister.
I mean, it was kind of like that with Isabel and me and Amber. Isabel's 6 years older than me, and she's 7 years older than Amber. So she would be like the one picking us up from, she was already driving when we were still in elementary school.
Yeah.
So picking us up when we were in elementary school, or like, third, fourth, fifth grade, she would like take us to like the store or something after, and people would think Isabel looked, she didn't look old, but people would be like, "Are those your kids?" And she was like, "I'm 17. Like, what the fuck?" But it was just funny. Like that was kind of like the dynamic. And now, I mean, Isabel and Amber, they've taken like a couple trips by themselves now.
I think Rachel and Julia need that. They need to go on a trip by themselves.
They probably will end up fighting. I mean, it's just inevitable.
Yeah, but then
I feel like we fight every time on a trip. Any family trip, we always end up like having some sort of little scuffle.
I don't give a fuck enough to argue or bitch
I don't
or complain.
See, I don't. I'm the same way. I don't really give a damn, but I'm unapologetically myself all the time, and sometimes they find it offensive.
Well, same, but like I also am just like I don't
sometimes
fucking care what we do. Like the only two things I wanted to do was get a fucking Philly cheesesteak and go to an apparel store so I can try and find something like Eagles related and shit like that.
Did you find?
And we did both things. No, the one store that we went to, I didn't find anything that I liked, and I didn't really have time to go to the team store like by the stadium. But we did get a Philly, and I'm like, all right, bet. Like
Good enough.
Honestly, like we could, whatever
Like, I'll
else you
order
guys
something
want.
online.
Yeah, what else you guys want to do? I'm fucking down for it. I really do not care what we do.
And that's another thing about me, which isn't the greatest, you know, my greatest feature, or I would say it's actually a flaw of mine. I'm a very go with the flow type of person. Can I plan things out? Of course.
I don't think
Do
that's
I
a
like
bad
to?
thing.
No. I'm a more,
Especially on vacation.
let me know where to go and I will be there. I'm not
Facts.
trying to plan it out. I'm not one who's like, oh, I've looked at reviews for this place. I'm like, I'll walk down the street. We could find any random
For
place.
real.
Like, I don't really give
the
a shit like that.
authenticity of the city is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to feel.
They're like, oh no, and like my sisters, they always plan stuff out. And I mean, they're very good at planning stuff out. So I'm like, hey, I'll take the back seat to this.
Facts.
Wherever you guys want to go, whatever you want to see, I am down.
Their anxiety will plan shit out for us. So I'm just
Yeah. Like,
I just sit back and fucking chill.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
before we get into more family talk, it's like, here you go, brother.
God damn, we're already 20 minutes in this bitch. Holy
Apparently
shit.
so. He's sick for that. To family.
Oh, God, this sucks dick.
Yeah, that's never fun.
Ugh.
Right,
I
you
don't even
got-
have water or nothing.
All right.
I just got to use my own saliva to chase it.
I'll suffer with you then.
Woo! But yeah, no, it was a good time.
But
Good times. Definitely looking forward to going back up there, see this concert.
going into
But I will say this: the next vacation I go on, I want it to be tropical, relaxing, all inclusive type shit.
those are nice.
Those are the best.
I mean, we like everybody who we went on the cruise with. It's just funny seeing you like on vacation.
me?
Yeah, I mean the bachelor party cruise though that we went on, that wasn't necessarily a vacation for any of us.
No, it was. I mean, it. Yeah, I wouldn't. That is. Yeah, it is like
It was a fun
it was
time,
a trip.
but-
It wasn't a vacation.
Correct. I wouldn't call that a vacation because it was like, if anything, it was kind of work.
A little bit, yeah.
Because like, it's a bachelor party cruise. We didn't do anything too crazy, but everyone was like, we were all expected to drink, like, just keep drinking.
Yeah.
That was like
Not
our
me.
only thing we had to do was like, all right, everyone drink, and then on the sea days, everybody gamble. So I did my fair share. If anything,
Yeah.
I did too much of both. Drank a fucking full bottle of whiskey and
Gambled your life away.
not my whole life, but
Part of it.
minor setback.
For a major comeback. Bye out.
Yeah, still trying to come back.
Damn.
But no, I'm just kidding. I made that back. I made that back. It was a fun time. Cruises are a good old time,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. Gambling. It's just fun. It's just a fun thing to do.
It's the thrill of it.
But I
the
did.
thrill of the hunt.
I will say I was mad at myself though for that cruise because out of all the times I've ever gambled, which isn't like a crazy amount, but I've been to a couple casinos in my life. I've gambled some in my life, and it's like I have rules of gambling. There's rules to everything in life. You got to have rules, and you got to know yourself. And I was chasing, and that is a bad thing to do when gambling because you
broke rule number one, Jacob.
I did, and you have the potential to lose money that way, and I did. Granted, the last day, which of course that's the day you do the best. When you stop giving a fuck, you're like, well, I'm down, whatever. I'm only gonna play a little bit. I ended up making some money back, so I was like, oof, thank you.
Like, oh, now I'm up. I gotta fucking throw it back all out there again.
No, I never. Technically, I was never up. Like when you're
shit.
losing money, or like when you've gambled for a couple of days, if you're up, then you gambled a lot, or you hit a really good win or something like that. But me, usually, like I set limits. Like on every trip, it's a different limit depending on like what I bring to gamble with. On normal gambling occasions, like if it's a 5-day cruise or something like that, or not even a cruise, just if I'm going to a casino, I'll put like either $100 or like $150 limit on myself. And not to say like I won't play for longer, but like I'll only use my own money that much, $150 for that day.
Yeah.
If I end up making 500, then I'll keep gambling, and if I lose the 500, it was all house money anyways. But my own money, I'm only spending 150. So like that's what I usually would do. But it would shitty if you do that and you lose all those days consecutively. You're like, Oi, this is bad. But what I was doing is I would
What you were doing was not listening to
no,
people.
I wasn't. I wouldn't.
Stop, Jacob.
It wasn't
stop.
even people. It was
Fuck.
myself. My limits of like that 150. I'd be like, whatever. Bring out. Give me another 150. I'll go into tomorrow's,
shit.
and then I would go gamble the next day too. So it was like, eesh.
Damn, you really did
But
put yourself in
before
that
we
role.
go on to other things, you're telling me about your trip and how you had like going up and seeing your uncle. You had more adult conversations, and like how do you think that was, and like what are your biggest takeaways from like conversations like that now versus if you've ever had them in the past, or if you haven't had them in the past? Like what was different?
Well, I mean, especially with my uncle, like that was the first time that I've, hung out, like spent time with him as an adult. So like they're like when I was younger, I mean, that was the first time I had gone on an airplane by myself. Like I went up to Jersey to go visit him, and I was there for like a week or so, and shit like that. But like, since I've gotten older and shit like that, we just really haven't spent that much time together. But I kind of wanted to, since I was gonna be up in that area anyways, and I was like, once I decided that I was gonna drive, I was like, well, that's not. I know it's not far from Philly, so let me see if I can, go hang out with him for a couple of days. I mean, that's pretty much what we did. Like I said, I got there Tuesday night. We got food, and then we were just in his apartment. We talked, about, our family stuff for about like 2 hours, almost 2.5, 3 hours about shit. And then on Wednesday, was it Wednesday? No, Thursday. So the day that I left, we had gone, worked out, and then got food. Sat down and talked to him about some stuff that had gone on in his life and shit like that. So, I mean, it was just, he's a pretty candid person. So like, if you ask him questions, he'll answer them. But like, you have to ask him the questions. If you don't ask him, he's not just trying to come,
I mean, which is normal amongst most people.
Yeah, so just I was able to ask him questions, and he was just very honest about
How he felt with
his
certain
answers.
things.
Yeah, how he felt, how he's feeling at certain times, given whatever circumstance or situation and shit like that. And I guess that's been going on a lot more with me, at least like in the past couple of years. Talking to my grandparents, my aunts,
Having these
my
deeper
dad,
conversations.
yeah. And also, I feel like that also is like partly to do with me, because I will ask questions, and like I look for like if someone's giving me like a partial answer and I'm not getting the whole thing, like I'll pry a little bit more and ask shit, and I'm a pretty like I guess a deep thinker or something. Just I just want to know things. So if I want to know something, I'll ask until I get the answer. Or if they tell me they don't want to talk about it, I'm like, all right, well then we won't talk about it. But like that's that's family, that's my uncle. So we know the ins and outs of certain things. So it was just very easy to just sit and talk about things without having to like walk on eggshells, or kind of like
Beat around the bush and stuff.
Yeah. So no, but it was good. I mean, I feel like it's important to.
You feel closer to your uncle now because you guys have had those conversations?
Yeah, I mean, we've always been pretty close. Like he was. I mean, that was my favorite uncle growing up. Like that, he was a fun, cool uncle growing up and shit like that. And he had lived with us before a few times, so there was that. And then, like I said, just kind of, life gets in the way, and if you don't make the time to, talk to people or keep relationships with people, it kind of, you're not gonna have the relationship. True. And it's like, and it was nothing like personal or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no malice behind it. It's just
so like I said, like this time around, where I was going up to Philly, I figured it's like, well, I haven't really spent a lot of time with him in a while, so like, if we can coordinate and find the time that I can, I can stay with him for a couple of days, then. So, but that, I mean, that goes to show again, like, when you get older, when you're an adult, you have to make time for relationships.
It's prioritizing.
You have to prioritize what's important to you. And I feel like I've gotten, closer in the sense of like, just being grown up and people trusting in me and confiding in me and seeing that I'm taking on different responsibilities within the family. So, you know, like I said, I've been able to with my grandparents, with my aunts, with my cousins, with my sisters, with my stepdad, with my dad, just different members of my family, they see me as an adult now. They see me as a grown up. They see me as, you're mature, you take care of things, you're able to have these types of conversations and shit like that.
Yeah.
So, I just took advantage of that opportunity and, shit, worked out. And like I said, I was able to stay with my uncle for a couple days and it was fun. I mean, you know how I am. I try and take away, something from those type of situations, even if it's the smallest little thing, I try and take something away from it because, obviously he lives in a different state, so we don't really get those opportunities a lot. So
have those one-on-one conversations.
Yeah, so I just tried to, take advantage of it as much as I could, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was refreshing. It was good. We caught up. We were able to.
And Eric was only able to have these conversations because he's been talking to me for 5 years now, and realizes, hey, I could talk and ask people questions about things.
That's exactly what it's not.
See?
I'm just kidding. I mean, listen, like doing this podcast has definitely helped. But like I've always been someone that
I'm not. I
like
was just making a joke. This has nothing to do with being able to talk to people or, especially family.
Yeah.
I feel like you've always been very upfront about how you feel about shit as well. And that also helps with talking and conversations when it comes to people you care about, people you love. Like anytime that you put yourself out there in a certain way, it's going to be received in the way you're trying to,
Yeah,
because it comes with a little bit of, maybe not necessarily family conversations, but I guess it depends on the family conversation as well. It's not necessarily coming from like a place of vulnerability or anything like that, but it's like a willingness to hear someone out and get what's on your chest out and like let them have their piece as well.
Yeah.
Be like, let me know, how you feel about this. This is how I feel about this.
Yeah.
And I feel like shit like that is good.
No, I mean, I
kind of makes you telling me that earlier was like, made me reflect a little bit. Like, I should probably have some more of these meaningful conversations. Because I've had plenty meaningful conversations with my family, but, like you said, life gets in the way. And even though I see my family quite often, there's a lot where just like, hey, how you doing?
No,
it's like a very subpar,
very surface level shit.
Surface level,
and
like,
it's easy to do that. I mean, listen, like, so I mean, there's times where I don't really want to talk about shit, or I'm like not in the mood to have a fucking, open-hearted conversation where you're gonna have to like, really think about shit and talk about stuff that you don't really want to, but you're not really gonna. I feel like you can only do that for so long before either one, like you're just gonna, your life it's just gonna be a little boring and things gonna get mundane a little bit, and you're not really gonna get much from a lot of shit. Or two, like relationships or the things that are important to you are not like it's just gonna your relationships are not gonna be what you want them to be. Like in order to have healthy relationships, you have to have uncomfortable talks sometimes. Talk about things that you might not want to, or ask questions that you don't really want to hear the answers to. But it's like, well, I could just keep on going and pretending like everything's okay, and I've got the answers that I wanted, or I can fucking just ask the question and worry about how I'm gonna feel about it once I hear the whatever, and then deal with it.
The answer.
Yeah. Because I mean, for more times than not, like people play up scenarios in their head more than what they're actually going to be in real life. Like for example, when I told my mom that I had gotten arrested, I waited 3 years to tell her because I didn't want. Because one, I was already hard enough on myself. I didn't need an extra voice in my ear telling me like you need to do this, you need to be on top of that. Like I was already hard enough on myself. Two, I was worried how she was going to react. So I waited a little bit, let some time pass. Everything was good.
3 years. Yeah. Let some time pass.
Well, I mean, you have to think. I was on probation. Well, I guess it was 11 months, but I got 18 months of probation. So, and then I just wanted to make sure that like it wasn't going to hold me back from getting any jobs or like anything like that. So then, and also by the time like I told her, it's like, well, enough people in my family know that like I'd rather her hear it from me than like it slip out and she hears it from somebody else. So my thought was like before I told her, I'm like, well, this could only really go one of two ways. Like she's either gonna be fucking furious at me and like not talk to me, because when she found out that I smoked, she fucking didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. Wouldn't even look my way. You would have thought I would have killed somebody. Like it was wild. Or I thought she was just gonna get fucking extremely emotional and fucking all boohoo and oh my god, like my son and all that shit. I'm like, I don't want to fucking hear that shit. But it's like, all right, well, I have to tell her. So that was what I was expecting in my head. When I told her, she just looked at me like, why the fuck are you telling me this now?
Yeah, why didn't you tell me this way back when?
No, she was just like, what? Like, not even why didn't you tell me way back when? It's like, why not? Like, if you haven't told me for this long, like, why tell me? And then I told her why. She asked me a couple questions. She's like, all right, well, whatever. So it was completely opposite to
How
the
you
two.
thought.
Yeah.
How
So
you
it's
built
like
up the scenario in your head.
Exactly. So, like, if I would have just thought that that's how it was going to be, if I thought what was in my head was what it was going to be in real life, and I would have never asked, then I would have never known that it really wasn't that big of a deal at the end of the day.
It wasn't.
And a lot of people do that. Like they won't ask questions or have conversations or confront somebody about something because of what they think it's going to play out or how they think it's going to play out in their head. When in reality, yeah, it could play out like that. I'm not saying it can't, but like it probably could not either. It could go exactly the opposite of what you thought it was.
Yeah,
Like
most likely, it's not going to be that bad.
Yeah, and if it is, then all right. Well, at least you already knew it was going to be that bad, so at least you prepared for it mentally.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people mentally will prepare for the worst, and then like, and people do this for anything. It's not just telling people or family bad things, but people are also too scared to take chances a lot of the time because they're thinking the worst can happen. Like, I mean, we can go as simple as, you know, when you're younger talking to girls, you're like, oh, they're gonna. What's the worst I can say? They don't like you. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then like farther up in life, you know, applying for new jobs, applying for new opportunities, like you asking, you know, for example, asking your manager for a different role in the company. Like, hey, I feel like I put in this amount of work. I feel like I'm, you know, capable of doing X, Y, Z. I want to be compensated X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just sometimes you got to talk to people, and sometimes you might get the no, we don't think you're qualified to do that, or you might get, you're right, you deserve a promotion, or you have been putting this amount of work in, but you're never gonna know if you don't ask these things.
Yeah. And also, on that same thing, if you don't ask, you know, maybe the person that you were asking never, you know, thought of what you were saying until you said something, and then it gets their gears going, and then, you know, maybe what you asked for, you know, isn't what you get. Maybe you get something different, or maybe you get more than what you thought you wanted to get, or what you were trying to ask for, because, you know, there's, you know, to stick to that, you know, example. You're asking your boss for a raise and you ask for this amount, and they're like, oh, well, I thought you've been doing better than this. And, you know, they start, you know, doing like a performance review, and you're exceeding everything, and they might give you a little bit more. Who knows? Yeah. Or, you know, it could be the opposite, and you fucking suck and you're asking for too much, and you're like, all right, chill out, bro. Like, you don't do this, this, and this. But then, you know, now you know what you have to do
what you can work on
to get to where you want to get to. So, like,
versus you just
usually
being, you know, oh, I'm doing all right, or or like people mope about like, oh, work sucks, like they don't really appreciate me here. Have you talked to anybody about it?
Yeah.
No. You think they're just gonna automatically think, oh, let me go talk to them, see if they like their work environment?
Bro, I feel like I've been telling people this like pretty often the past couple weeks. It's like, because people will come to me and talk to me about, you know, stuff about problems that they're having with other people and shit like that. And I'm like, I hear you.
To that person?
Exactly. Like, I hear you. Like, hey, I'm not saying that you're wrong in how you're feeling, but like, don't you think this would go a lot further if you would tell that person instead of telling me? Like, I can't do anything about it. Like, I'm not the one you have an issue with. So, like, I don't know.
What do you want me to tell you?
Right.
Like,
so it's just like, you know, I hear you. You know, you have points, but why don't you say this to this person? I'm sure you guys could get a lot further than if you were sitting here talking to me about it. Which, yeah, again, I appreciate it. I'm always here to listen. I have 2 good ears, and I'm a good listener, so I'll sit here and listen. But it's like, you know, talk to that person. Maybe formulate your plan of attack with me, and then execute said plan of attack with that person. Because this is not going to go for very far with me.
Good point to make.
I feel like I've been telling that to a few people lately. It's just kind of funny.
It's like that sometimes. I mean, people run desk with their problems occasionally.
Bro, because Like, and that's another thing. Like, people have asked me a lot lately, like, do you get anxious? Like, do you ever deal with anxiety? I'm like, I do, not often, but like I have.
Yeah.
But then I've also, like, the times that I've had to deal with it, like I just don't run away from it. Like if I have a problem, I'll deal with it.
Try to face it head on.
I try to face it head on, but I also don't like wear myself out emotionally about it. Like if I'm dealing with something, because a lot of things I do deal internally. But the thing is that I can compartmentalize things, go deal with it. If I feel like I'm stressing myself out or I'm getting a little too like stressed about it and not really progressing or getting any progress from it, then it's like, all right,
then you try to
let me put this back in the little box that I had it in. Let me go work out. Let me go hang out with a friend. Let me go play some video games. Let me go do something to kind of take my mind off it, get the emotional energy back. When I have it, then I'm not afraid to go back and tackle things, 3, 4, 5 times until I get it figured out, to where one, I've either come to some type of acceptance to it or I've found the solution to my problem. And then, all right, bet. Then I can, not that it's going to be a forever solution, but it's, I've dealt with it in the way that I know how to, that it's not going to, be causing me stress or any extra shit that I don't need. And then if this problem ever comes back in a different way, then I know, I've learned these tools to deal with it the first time. Hopefully I can deal with it the same way. If not, then I need to revisit and reevaluate how I'm going to handle this problem again. So I can continue to live my life the way I feel like I want to, stress-free, drama-free, and grow as a person as well.
Yeah, which is, it's a hard thing to do because people are stuck in their ways in a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you put yourself out there, the more you're trying to deal with your own problems, trying to not run from your problems. And I mean, we've all done it. Like,
of course,
I'm the same way. I don't get anxious that often. I have, yes,
of course,
like everyone else. But I don't dwell on things too often.
Yeah.
Like, whether it be good or bad, if I made the right decision or wrong decision, like, I just take it for what it is. I'm like, yeah, I did it. I can't take it back. I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to give it an extra 2 seconds of my time because I stand on that. Like, yeah. I'm like, I might have fucked up there, and I'll be the first to admit I'm wrong, but I can't rewrite history. So I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and dwell on it or be like, oh, boo-hoo, why did I do that? I fucked up. That's on me. I got to deal with that now, but let's move on from it. And then I try to, progress in other ways. Like, or at least I view it as, I will look at it for a second and be like, okay, how did I act in that situation? So like I could at least try to learn from it. Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't act like that again. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
I might make the same mistake once or twice, maybe 3 times. Who knows?
I mean, at least with me and you, like there's a specific time where you fucked up and I wasn't too happy about it. And, it was not really that I was offended, but you offended people around me that are important to me. You realized that you fucked up and you were quick to, my bad, I fucked up. You apologized you owned up your shit real quick and then made amends for it quickly. Like, and that's why I was never there. I wasn't mad about it. It's like, how can I be mad at something? Yeah,
I wasn't that mad either.
Yeah, you did some dumb shit, but like he owned up to it quick. He apologized to who he felt like, or not who he needed to apologize to, and he owned his shit. Like, how can I be mad at that? Like that, if like I as a man, I have to respect that.
Yeah, which I mean, I feel like people, if more people, and I'm not saying I'm a great example, but if more people did that, for example, it would get them out of a lot of shit.
Facts.
Because a lot of people know they're wrong, and then they'll be like, well,
they'll double down on their shit.
If they're not going to come to me, or a lot of people do that too. They might know they're wrong, or they might not think they're wrong, or maybe they aren't wrong, but they're waiting for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, and your example, I was wrong in that. And yeah, I could have doubled down and been like, haha, but I knew I was wrong. So I was like, let me just fix what the issue is, because I never meant for it to go that way anyways.
Well, I mean, for another example,
this is why people shouldn't mix alcohol, but story for another time.
I mean, there's another example of, two friends that I have that are, they're good friends and they're not really seeing eye to eye right now. Nobody's really wrong in the situation, but again, one of them is waiting for the other one to respond when it's just,
They're both too prideful.
If you have the issue, if you're having the issue and it's bothering you, like, why would you just be okay with sitting with it and just waiting for the other person when it's bothering you? And like
either one of them, honestly. And y'all would have to listen to 45 minutes of this to know who we're talking about. But y'all are both being little bitches and should just go talk to each other.
Facts.
As long as we don't pull a snippet from this exact segment, they'll never know. Like, they ain't gonna listen 45 minutes deep. But
no, but I mean, I've been telling,
I know who you're telling to be but I've also told him to be the bigger person, but he's waiting on him to be the bigger person. It's just like,
well, I've also told this about, there's, issues going on within my family right now too, that it's like this is nothing that can't be solved with
simple conversations.
Exactly. Like, y'all could just talk through this, and it might take, like I said, in 1, 2, 3, 5 conversations. But as long as this shit is building on each other, like, for me at least, like, I don't mind having the same conversation as long as we're building from the past conversation from the last time. Like I said, like with me, when I deal with shit internally, I'll go back to things, 2, 3, 4 times until I feel like I figured it out for that moment. It's the same thing in like relationships or friendships or anything like that. I don't mind revisiting old conversations as long as they're building from past ones, and then we can eventually come to some type of, understanding or some type of common ground on it. But if the shit that it fucking infuriates me is when we're having a conversation and then I'm having to explain myself 5 different times and you're still just not wanting to, you just don't want to hear it, or you don't want to understand it. Yeah. It's not that you can't, it's that you don't want to. It's like, well, I don't know what the fuck else to tell you. Like, you don't have to. And I think that's also another thing, that people think that agreeing, understanding, and accepting are all one and the same. It's like, you can agree with something and not understand it and not accept it.
Correct.
You can accept something and not understand it and not agree with it.
Correct.
You can understand something and
it's hard
not
to do all 3.
Yeah.
And I've been one to understand it, accept it, but not agree with it.
Yeah, and that's most of life.
I'm like, listen, I'll give you the 2, but I will never accept that.
That's most of life, though. Like most of things in life, I don't agree with. Yeah. That's just the fact of the matter. Most of the things that go on in life, I don't agree with. Now, that I can understand why it's going on or why it's happening, yeah, I can, because there's, X amount of examples, or, if you read into something enough or look into something enough, do enough research, you can understand why something's happening. Yeah. Whether I accept it or not, that's a different thing. Like, I accept most things that go on in this world, because what am I going to do in reality? Like, I'm not really in a position to really make huge, giant changes, or like,
we can't boycott everything.
Exactly. So like, again, I don't agree that I don't fucking know. What's a good example? I don't fucking agree. I don't want to fucking get political with this shit, but I don't agree with a lot of shit that goes on in politics. Now, I understand why it happens, and I accept it, because like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, am I going to just go fucking raise up a revolutionary army and fucking go try and overthrow the government?
I mean, I've been
probably
saying for
fucking
years,
not. Like,
when I turn 35, I'm running. No, I'm just kidding.
But like,
well, maybe one day if I got into politics now,
God,
and then got a good financial backing behind me,
good luck.
Run for president.
Go run for your local office.
That's what I'm saying. You'd have to get into politics,
right now.
Yeah, work my way up.
But I mean, that was probably a shitty example. But like, again, another reason I understand why certain people aren't talking to other people in my family. I've accepted it because I've tried to,
try to mend those gaps.
Yeah, I've tried to, and it's not working, but I don't agree with it. I don't agree that, family member A is not talking to family member B, C, and D, but
especially for the reasons.
Exactly. But, I understand, because I've talked to both parties and I see where they're coming from. I've accepted it for what it is at this point, because I feel like I've done what I could to try and, bridge the gap. But that doesn't mean I agree with it. That doesn't mean I'm never going to be somebody that agrees with, if something can be had through or be fixed through a conversation, I'm never going to be like, yeah, don't talk to each other to get your point across. Because again, that goes back to, you're going to start building shit up in your head and building things there that aren't really there. And they might make sense in your head because the person, the people that you're dealing with, and you have some type of knowledge on how they might act on certain shit. Yeah. But that doesn't mean it's true. That way. Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's true. I've been guilty of that before, and that's something that I've had to, I've worked on, and I've gotten a lot better at, is that, what I think might be true and what it actually is true are two different things. I might think that this person is acting this way because they're trying to be spiteful towards me or whatever, and that could be farther from the truth. Again, that quote that I need to get this shit tattooed on my forehead or some shit. But like, what
about that? But
people are not against you, or people are not against you. They're for themselves. Like, that is like, that's just 90% of the fucking time. That's just what it is. People just have their own problems that they're projecting onto you because you happen to fit the mold of what their issue is at that moment.
Or people are. And another way of putting that, people also are dealing with shit that you might not know of. That like, they're like, you're just thinking, you're walking down the street, what the fuck, they got a problem with me? Yeah. And they don't. They just have deeper problems that they haven't been telling people that they're dealing with, that they're like, I can't deal with anything else right now. Like, there's just too much on my plate. But a lot of people will hold that shit in and not say that. And I mean, we've all been guilty of that. Like, try to deal with too much shit on our own sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it gets to a boiling point where you're like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, whether it be work, relationships, family,
a mixture of all that shit,
yourself, your own personal battles, because people have battles with themselves every day.
Yep.
I mean, you've famously said that you are the only person who's got to deal with you every day. Facts. Like, you're stuck with yourself. The shit that goes on in your head, that's you and your own thoughts, you and your own battles. And it's hard to sometimes tell people what you're dealing with, or like what your issues are.
Yeah.
Because everybody's different. Everyone could have, little things that are slightly different. And using us as an example, everybody deals with things differently. Like we said, we don't dwell on a lot of shit. Other people aren't like that.
Yeah.
They fucking go over it 1,000 times in their head, all the different possibilities that could have been. It's already happened. Yeah. It's already done. It's already over with. Yeah. Stop thinking about it.
Well, and I used to be like that, and I still am to an extent, but I do it more as far as like, all right, well, for next time, how can I, approach this better, or how can I act better in this situation, instead of like, damn, like going over the situation a million times and how I could have done it in that moment. It's like, well, that moment has passed. Like,
I'm not getting that back.
Yeah, let me I gotta, be mad, sad, whatever, how I gotta deal with it. But then like, just be mindful of it for if something like that comes up again. Like, how can I handle it better so that I don't have a repeat of what I did before, instead of looking at it as like, it's something that's gonna stress me out or like wear me down, or like I'm just fucking putting too much time on something that's already happened. It's like, bro, just try and do better next time. Like, how can I find a better plan of attack for if something comes up like this again? So, I mean, it's fucking life. It's part of being an adult. It's part of growing up. I feel like
part of learning yourself, learning how to deal with situations. Dealing with your own emotions.
I feel like that's the hardest thing for a lot of people though, is fucking learning themselves, learning how to deal with themselves, learning how to accept, certain things, and like just being okay with who you are. I feel like a lot of people get too caught up in like trying to be too fucking perfect, or trying to fucking be like too much of something, when it's like, just
or be somebody they're not. Because I mean,
that's part of learning yourself.
Yeah.
Which is wild. Like, it is wild how many people, like, you get into these, 30, 35, 40, 45, like how many people just don't know who they are as a person, like what their core values are, and like really trying to figure themselves out, and they think they do, and they just don't. And that's why that's where a lot of insecurities come from. That was one of the conversations me and my uncle had. I don't know how we got to it, but it was, he started saying, it's like, I had said something. He's like, kind of piggybacking off of what you said, like, damn, I wish I would have remember. I could remember what I said, but he's like, part of the issue is part of people's insecurities is people thinking they know who they are, or what they want, or what their values are, and they really don't. They're just going off of what they've been taught as a kid, and that's what they think their values are. And in reality, like once you get to a certain age and you're out in the world on your own, like you start to realize those aren't your fucking core values. That's not what you really believe. That's not what you really think. But then people don't take the time to figure that shit out for real. And they just, all right, well, you know, kind of, again, just put it to the wayside and not put too much attention to it. And then you start having, that's when I feel like people start having fucking midlife crises and all this fucking shit.
Because doubt creeps in.
Yeah. And when you don't have shit to lean on, when you don't have a solid foundation to lean on, then, you know, that shit will crumble real quick, and then you feel like you're spiraling out of control.
You got to rebuild yourself because you never knew yourself.
Yeah.
Because people will, your uncle used a great example, they'll think of something that they were taught or they might have thought, but then, like you said, you deal with a lot of different situations, and you can kind of learn what your values are from how you deal with those situations.
Mm.
Some people don't want to use that as an example, but it's like perfectly, you know, black and white of this is how you've personally dealt with this situation. That's how you feel. That's what you believe. You know, you can say this, but, and I've been told this, action speaks louder than words.
Facts.
So, like, if your actions say one thing, your words, they don't hold much weight when your actions are showing a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for people to be like, oh, these are, you know, use this as an example. The podcast. If you know, our words, we've built it up. Shit, we're bigger than Joe Rogan. Our actions, we are still starting it up. Like, it's just one of those things that sometimes we get in our own ways or even in each other's ways because, like, we all have different ideas. We all see things differently. And sometimes it gets in the way of each other.
Amen, brother. Amen. But, you know, that's life. We're still trying to figure this shit out. We're still relatively young, so, you know, we still got a lot of figuring out to do, essentially. Oh, for as much as I feel like I've learned myself and I know myself pretty well, there's still, obviously I know there's still things that I need to address within myself, address with other people, you know, just things that I need to figure out. I need to come to accept or fucking man up and have the conversation with people. And, you know, all these things that I say that I feel like I'm pretty good at are still, you know, I still haven't mastered it. I still, you know, there's still things that I need
10,000 hours.
I need to grow in, and I need to, you know, make more of a conscious effort to do better in certain areas. And that's, you know, that's going to be for my whole life. You know, now that, and I mean, I've, especially, you know, this past week or so, this past 2 weeks, you know, I've talked to a number of different people and have conversations, and there's certain things that I've, you know, realized about myself that I am ahead in than a lot of people, and, you know, whether they're my friends, my peers, or my age group, you know, or even just people in general that I am ahead in. But then, you know, that also comes with, all right, now I know that this is something that I need to work on a little bit more, because I see that, you know, the people around me are, you know, a little bit further ahead of me in that aspect. So, I mean.
Yeah, but that's a slippery slope too, because everyone does things and processes things differently. Like, I'll even, I mean, even learning, for example, you can use that old picture of, it's like a monkey, a fish, an elephant, a penguin. It's a reference about the school system, but I mean, it's good for this example, how everyone learns differently. But it's all these animals, right, in a line, and then it's a dude behind a desk and saying, your test is to climb this tree. All right, the monkey's going to pass the test. The fucking penguin, the elephant, the fish, like, they ain't getting up that damn tree. And it's an example about the school system and, like, standardized tests where not everyone learns that way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to, you know, test somebody on that specific thing.
Yeah.
And you can use that example with, like, learning in life. Everyone has to go through things and thinks differently. So, I mean, That's why we can't really compare ourselves to anybody, because we're all doing. We're all just basically here and all trying to figure it out on our own in our own ways.
Yeah.
Yes, we've all been taught. Yes, some of us are taught similar things. Some of us are taught very differently. But it's all us at the end of the day, just trying to figure out what works best for us, how we can implement the things we've learned to benefit us, and like how we handle our own situations. And that's why like you can't really compare yourself to anyone, because I mean, there's kids that are way younger than us that are millionaires for stupid shit.
Yeah.
There's people our age who we might look at and be like, "Oh, y'all ain't doing shit." But it's like it's hard to judge somebody because we don't know what they're going through.
Well, I mean, like, and I agree with what you're saying, but like for me, so like what I was getting at is like for me, like I've come to realize that I'm a pretty emotionally intelligent person. Like I'm pretty comfortable with, you know, looking at things within myself and like regulating my own emotions. I'm not necessarily scared of like how people are going to perceive me if I do get mad or if I do get sad, or how people are going to look at me like that way. I just let myself feel what I need to feel. But then when it comes time to have certain conversations, or when it comes time to make certain decisions about things, I'm good at like removing what my emotions are from it and making the logical, rational, choice. I've come to realize that not too many, that is a skill that, when I've talked to adults that are, 10, 15, 20 years older than me, that they're telling me, it's like, wow, like at your age, I wasn't even thinking about these things. That's not even was a thought in my head. So in that aspect, I know that like I'm further ahead than most people my age, or most people that are, in my age group, or, friends or whatever around me, even, family members. Something that I feel like I've worked on, and I am in some areas I'm pretty disciplined at. I feel like overall in my life, being self-disciplined and self-motivated is something that I still have a lot of room to grow in, a lot of improvement I can still make in that area. And that, I mean, even that being said, like when it comes to, going to the gym and things like that, I'm very disciplined in that aspect of my life. But
very consistent.
When, it comes to other things, fucking, I don't make my bed every day. I never make my fucking bed. And, something as little as that, people who are successful will say, something that small will go such a long way.
Can.
And again, yeah, I mean, it's all fucking, it's all relative and shit like that. But that is something that if you look at all these like self-help books, these success books and all this shit, a common thread is, waking up and
start making your fucking bed. God.
But I don't, and I'm just like,
put a fucking sticky note on the door. Go back, make bed.
See, and that's something that I need to work on. I need to improve on that. Those types of little disciplinary
I'm not gonna
things.
say I make my bed every day, because that's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
But I do make my bed every now and again.
And again, just an example, but like things like that I do need to improve on. I need to start playing my piano more. I have that shit right there. I have it right next to my room, and I don't play it as much as I should or I want. So, there's things that, again, like I'm disciplined in some aspects of my life. There's other aspects of my life that I want to be more disciplined in, that I just don't do it for whatever fucking reason I give myself.
I'll take this back all the way to your relationship talks. You need to prioritize some things.
Facts.
And if that's something you want to do, prioritize it a little more. If making your bed is something you want to start doing, leave yourself reminders,
Yeah.
Maybe try twice a week or something
first. I don't utilize my calendar or my reminders in my phone enough.
I mean, I don't either. I'm somebody who, like, I'll know what I have to do. Like, I do sometimes write shit down on, like, at least a piece of paper just so I could see it as well. But I don't put shit on my phone, even though I should. And I just think about it. I'm like, oh, I am pretty good at that, though. Like, I mean, if I know, for example, I feel like a kid going to school. There's sometimes where if I know I have something to do that day, like I'll wake up before my alarm and shit, and I'll be like, oh, I got to do this today. Yeah. Or like I will leave myself some reminders about like, oh, I need some, this XYZ material for this job. Like I'll do that, but I don't know. I could do that. I could do a better job at that as well.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all
little shit.
I'm sure I'll figure it out and I'll get it down, but it's just it's a
Hey,
constant battle. Life is a
It's
constant fucking
something
battle.
you work on every day,
Exactly. So
every single day. I do love though how we're over an hour in, and we've me and Eric we're just sit here make conversations happen out of nothing. I didn't have any of this part on the docket, but here we are.
We're deep minds, deep
Yeah.
thinkers.
We could
I'm more than
once
just
we,
a pretty face.
once we get into shit, we could just talk about all kinds of stuff without even really having to look at notes or
Even though I am a pretty face too.
This guy is just looking at himself, talking to himself.
Can barely even
I'm
see
out here
myself
talking to you.
in the fucking camera. I just see the bodies.
Oh.
I can't really obviously I know what face I'm making, but I can't see the face I'm making in the camera right now.
Yeah, true. I try to look at the camera every now and again. I feel like I stare
Same.
more at right here, like I stare at the bottle and shit, or I'll be looking at you more often than actually looking at the camera.
I mean,
I know it's there, but it's it's weird to talk and just be like, "So, how you doing?"
yeah, unless there's a
How you fucking doing?
fucking news anchors and I mean, I guess they have the teleprompter that they're looking at. I mean, they are looking at the camera, but they're reading words as well. So
I feel like I mean that's different.
I mean, because I look in this direction a lot. I'll look over here. I'll look out there the door. I'll look at you. I look at.
But I mean, this is also. I mean, I guess you could always put something behind it, like give yourself what you're talking about, so you look that way. But I mean, a lot of our conversations are our own experiences, our own opinions.
I have to reach deep into my
Yeah,
brain. To
stuff
think of
that,
these things, look off
we
into
think
the
about
distance.
or that we have. This is our thoughts on certain aspects of our own lives and other people, our own opinions. So it's
Opinions.
So yeah, versus what I wrote down. This has nothing to do with that, but it's all right because we got more episodes for that.
By U.S. basketball, fucking cut Joel Embiid. That's my take on that. Because
They beat Serbia today.
Yeah, they beat their ass, but they were down fucking 2-10 in the first quarter, and as soon as they got,
I watched it get back to 2020.
As soon as they took out Joel Embiid and they put Anthony Davis in, they put Bam in, they started fucking clicking. The offense was smooth, they weren't skipping a beat. Joel Embiid, if I'm not taking away from his talent, I'm not taking away from what he is as a player, but this is the Olympics. This is different rules. This is different way of playing basketball. And for the amount of star power that they have on the perimeter, they don't need a big guy clogging up the lane like that.
True.
They need somebody who can spread it out a little bit more, and it pretty much is going to be a defensive anchor like Anthony Davis, like Bam Adebayo, and they don't really need the ball on offense like that. They'll get their rebounds, they'll get putbacks, they'll get hustle points, but that's what we need from the center position in the Olympics. Because when we got fucking LeBron, Steph, fucking Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, fucking.
Yeah, I was watching. The part I watched was KD
Drew Holiday,
and Anthony
Derek
Edwards
White.
hit back-to-back threes to tie the game back up at
Devin Booker was balling.
2020.
Like,
But then I stopped watching. I was golfing. So
yeah, no, I watched the whole game. So
playing golf. I
Yeah.
broke 100 today.
I
It's not that impressive for people who golf a lot, but for me, milestone.
it's all about baby steps.
Yeah,
Improvement.
I did play pretty fucking good today, and I was like,
You just play by yourself?
yeah. I mean, Helen came with me, but she was driving the cart. Played
Nice.
solo. It was hot
Damn.
out there.
I did absolutely nothing today, and it felt great. I
That's
fucking
nice. I'm pretty tired. I'm gonna go to sleep early tonight.
did some laundry. Did that.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
I'm probably
Didn't do
gonna
shit.
order some food. Don't know what I want to get yet. And then I'm gonna watch House of the Dragon and then go to sleep.
Look at you. Got your whole night planned.
Bro,
Well,
I'm an adult.
this is another installment of the No Hangover podcast. Any last words, Eric?
Count your days.
This fucking guy. This is at the start of the episode, but I'll do it at the end too.
Bow.
Bitch.
Everybody love everybody.
Peace.